Hey everybody, it's Michelle LaVore and
Devin LaVore
coming at you. And like always, as we begin our videos, we want to just give a huge thank you for those of you who have been supporting us and continue to support us. And it is always just such a huge blessing from God, and we just truly are just amazed by His provision. And for those of you who don't know, we are support-based, so if you would like to support us, feel free. We have a PayPal link below, and you can just click that. And so here we go into a video. And so it's just been kind of a different week for us. Definitely just God just kind of taking us really just in a place of rest. We've been kind of in a place of just really just honing in on some time with the family and just kind of resting with the Lord as far as with the videos. But He's just been speaking to us about so much on so many different levels. By levels, I mean just areas in our life.
Yeah. Not just one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is just something that we've been just kind of gathering from this week that we wanted to share with you guys. And so kind of just starting it off, I know we mentioned it a little bit in our last video with just the 1, 2, 3s. It just seems like, man,
oh my gosh,
Lord, you were just been speaking these like 1, 2, 3, and we talked about, the hold fast, say yes, and have fun.
Yeah. And
then I talked a little bit about this next part, which was Psalm 10:17, and I really love that verse, and it says, you want to go ahead and read it?
Sure. It says, O Lord, you have heard the desire and the longing of the humble and oppressed. You will prepare and strengthen and direct their hearts. You will cause your ear to hear. Want me to do the 18?
Sure, yeah.
To do justice to the fatherless and the oppressed, so that man who is of the earth may not terrify them anymore.
Yeah. And so, of course, there's the 3 things that God is doing. He says, in the psalm, it says, you will prepare, strengthen, and direct their hearts. And, I just really felt like, wow, that's, once again, it's like 1, 2, 3 of just what God does. And we can really just see how, if we're going back even just over his since 2017, it's like that God was really preparing us. Last year, He was really strengthening us. And I really feel like this year is a year of just like He's directing our hearts and directing us. And we've been actually really praying about the direction of the Lord, because, we've been seeing, with the 1, 2, 3s, we're seeing a lot of sequential numbers like that, like 2, 3, 4, or 4, 5, 6, those kind of numbers. And it can mean like God's like giving you the next steps or kind of that sort of thing. And so we've been just praying into it and asking the Lord for just that He would be directing us in our hearts, which is what He says He's going to do. And so, I don't know, I just really love that verse because it's also something that we've really I feel like we've been seeing really recently with just how God continues. He's constantly doing that. It's not just a year thing or, that was the year for preparation, that was the year for strengthening, that was the year for directing. I think personally in our lives, yes, like God was doing that during those times, like on a bigger scope or scale, but just He's constantly just every day preparing us and strengthening us and directing our hearts and our lives. And we can just see that in a lot of like the little things and all the different moves that we've been through on this journey. It's like God was always preparing us in advance for where the place that He was going to take us into next, whether that was like a physical location or even just prepping our hearts for the direction he has next for us. And I really feel like that's where God what he's been doing since the beginning of this year he's like, I am preparing you for what I'm taking you, what I'm bringing you into. And so many of the pictures that God's been speaking, he's been saying, hey, the storm is over. I'm taking you into, can you trust me to take you into the good things? Can you, believe me for the great things that I have over your life? And so he's really been preparing our hearts to believe, to just know in our hearts that what he has in store for us is good, that we're not continuing to go into storms, that we're going to be walking into the life that God has for us. It's like he's really just been preparing our hearts for what he wants to do. And again, a part of that is being able to say yes, to believe and receive everything that he has for us as we move forward. And it's like, wow, that is what God is preparing us to go into. And I know for us, like, it's a new place, really. Yeah, so last year, it's like God would always prepare us. But it was a very, looking back at it, it's like, wow, God, he was always preparing us for what we were going to get ready to go through. And we went through a lot of just difficult things. But it's like, wow, God is so good. He really protected our hearts, as difficult as it was, as we went through.
And the difficulty, can I?
Yeah.
And I feel like for us, the difficulty was in not knowing what's going on.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it's the whole training of trust thing. And it's just like, okay, what's going on? What's going on? And then when things would just go really just left field and you go, what is going on? Why is this happening? It was a matter of like, do you trust me? Remember, God would always say in those moments, do you trust me? It's like, yes, I do, Lord. And it's just like, God's not going to tell you something and make a promise and it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's like, it's going to happen, so he had to take us through that part of our lives where he had to just remove the time frame thing, which was really causing us a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it came down to like just the trust factor.
Yeah.
And you just knowing, because you said that before, and I was just like, yeah, it's just a matter of knowing that, no, this is what the Lord has said, and just whenever it happens, however it happens, we know that this is what's going to happen.
Yeah. And I really think that the word that God gave or just said was like, okay, I know that you can trust me to go through the difficult things.
Yeah.
And he's like, I know that because we've been through that. And he's like, but now can you trust me when I'm leading you into the basically good things, into the good place?
Yeah.
And it can be equally as hard to trust the Lord for that, because you have to really sometimes battle against the doubt, those heart triggers that can happen and pop up and say, ooh, can I trust the Lord? No, he's probably just preparing me for another hard time. And I just feel like that's what he's been doing. He's like, I'm preparing you to go into the good. So I've been spending a lot of time telling you that the storm is over, that this is what I have in store for you. It's great things. It's good things. Can you believe me for that? Can you trust me? Can you stand with your arms open wide to receive everything that I have for you?
Yeah.
That's really what God is saying, like, hey, that's what I'm preparing you for. Therefore, if that's what God is preparing in us and strengthening in us to believe, because I really feel like this week for us personally, it was like a strengthening to believe on so many levels, as far as just believe me that I have good in store for you, that this is what I want for you.
Yeah.
And then
here, let me prove it.
Yeah.
We're not even going to go into it.
And then say, okay, now I'm going to direct you, and when I direct you, it's taking you into the good places. So another part of, I feel like, the strengthening that God has been doing is He's been giving us a lot of, I don't know, just either Bible verses and numbers that we've been seeing that lead us to places where it's like, oh wow, yes, this is what the Lord's saying. So I know that it was probably, yesterday.
It was on, when I got the 153?
Yeah.
That was on the 14th.
Yeah, so that was yesterday.
That was technically yesterday.
That was yesterday.
You guys would be watching this on the 16th, but yeah. Yeah, so you want me to tell a little bit about it? Yeah, because it's like the sequential order numbers coming to an end. And it's like, let me just sidestep for a second and be like, and address this. Like, why does God keep saying the same things over and over and over and over and over again? And you did touch on it already about God preparing. That's what He's doing. He's preparing. But it's like when you're a baker, because I've baked many loaves of bread, and it's like you have to knead the dough. You don't just do it once and then just all the air comes out and then you don't do that. No. You just have to keep doing it over and over and over. And what that does, not only does it get all the hard stuff out, like it just does so much. But one of the things that it does is it makes the dough soft. Mm-hmm. It makes it smooth. Mm-hmm. It makes it not sticky, at least the kind that I've made, And it's like, so God is preparing and strengthening. That's why He says the same things over and over and over again. That's why because God speaks to us through numbers, and it's like a Morse code type of thing that He does with us all the time. Mm-hmm. And He proves Himself that it's like, it's Him. Why does He do it? Just because He loves to do it. Yeah. And He's God, and He's more than He's not monodimensional, And so when the 1, 2, 3 thing came to an end, on that day, I saw 153 like 3 times, and it really jumped out at me. And I only saw it that 3 times. That's when I really started getting into it. And then as we got into it, then that's when you were just started getting so much stuff. We both did, really, but you got most of it.
153. That, of course, like immediately, because we're familiar with 153.
Yeah.
And the 153, so we immediately go to basically John chapter 21. And
was that verse 11?
And verse 11.
Yeah.
And because that's when the whole story is just, it's after Jesus had been resurrected, and there's 7 of His disciples. They go out on a boat to go fishing at night. They're fishing all night long. It's basically dawn. The sun's coming up, and
they caught nothing.
And then they see Jesus. They don't know at first that it is Jesus, but they see Him on the shore, and He calls out, hey, have you guys caught anything? And they're like, no. And so He's like, hey, well, just toss your net on the right side of the boat. And they're like, okay. So they just go ahead and do it.
Bro.
They go ahead and do that, and it just gets all these fish. And when they pull it ashore, they find out it's 153 large fish. And they realize, oh, it's Jesus, and they go and meet Him. So funny, because once they get to shore, Jesus actually had fish cooking for them already.
Yeah, and bread.
The
fish and the loaves.
Yeah.
And the casting the net on the right side of the boat. It's like all of these things He had already done before in their lives, and it was a reminder. Yeah. Which is kind of like what this week has been for us. A lot of reminder. Really, it's been, I'd say the reminder is the main theme of this week. It's just been like reminding us, like, hey, remember this. Hey, remember that. Hey, remember, not for the sake of like waiting longer. It's just for the sake of like, hey, this is what's going to happen.
Remember who I am.
Yeah.
Yes. That really just hit me right there. It's like,
go ahead.
God's just saying, like, remember who I am. Mm-hmm. That I am the one that provides. That I am the one that brings good things into your life. I am the one that cares about you so much that I just want to give lavish gifts to you.
Yeah.
It's Him just saying, like, I am this man who came, with the disciples, who came to you, disciples, and chose you.
Yeah.
you were fishermen, and I chose you so that you could be fishers of men. and here they are. They're at a point where they had seen Jesus twice, but it was just these short encounters with the Lord, and they had seen him, and then he would just leave, and so then it was just kind of this moment where I feel like they were just kind of like, okay, well, I guess we'll just go fish. We'll just go back.
I'm tired of waiting for something miraculous to happen. I'm tired of things to go back to the way they were, because Jesus is obviously not going back to the way he was. He just pops up here and there, and then he's gone for days. And it's like, we don't know what's going on. It's like, I'm done. I'm just going fishing. I'm going back to what I know I need to do to make some money and do our thing. It's like even in the resurrection, clearly this is a miraculous craziness that's going on. But even in this, things aren't going the way we thought that they would or should go. And Peter's like, I'm going fishing. Oh, I'm just going to go do what I need to do. I'm done waiting. I'm just going to go live my life.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, can I touch on that a little bit? Because this whole week, let me tell you, this whole week we have gotten to a done place in so many areas of our life. Have we not? Yeah, there have been certain things that it's just like, I'm just done. I got to that place this morning. I was like, I'm done, with trying to make our God times be as glorious as I know that they can be, and I just got to this place where I'm like, I'm just done. I'm done. And then tonight we had like this really awesome God time. And I'm like, what is going on? God's like, I want you to be done. You know what I mean? This whole week, I'm telling you, that's probably like the fifth occurrence of something we were like, I'm just done. I can't do it anymore. I've gone as far as I can go. And it really speaks to the number 42 in a sense that, there's there's the cubits, and then there's the Great Cubit. And it takes the Great Cubit to really complete and finish thing, but only God can do the Great Cubit, that whole thing. But I don't want to go too deep into that. But it's like they went around Jericho 6 times. But on the 7th day, right? On the 7th day, they went around 7 times. And so it was just like, God was like, you can only go so far. But me, I have to carry you to the place that only I can. I'm the only one that can get you there.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, there's a cooperation of the Spirit and obedience and all of that. I'm not saying that, like the previous 6 days of circling Jericho was pointless. No, it's just God's got to do. He's got to do the finishing touches. He's got to do the last thing. He has got to get the glory and the credit for the breakthrough. It cannot be because of your out of the garden tilling and sowing and reaping and, it can't be. It has to be just the hand of God doing it. And I'm telling you, there has been some significant things that we're just like, you know what, Lord, we're just done with this. We're done waiting on this. This is almost insignificant to the big plan anyway. Whatever. We're just going to be done. And some of it was a big deal, though. And it's like, no sooner did we give up on it than God's like, oh, okay, here you go. It's like, what? What's going on? It's like we just gave up on that, and then the Lord, boom, He gives it. He opens up some door or something. And it reminds me of when we met. Literally on that there was a Monday. What was it? The 16th. So 7 days, the 9th, right? June 9th of 2008. I was sitting with my small group leader. His name is John. And I'm like, John, I have done this, man, for like 6 months. Over 6 months. I've done everything. I have done everything the Lord has asked me to do. He told me to pursue. But yet, here I am pursuing, trying to pursue the wife and all that. I'm going against the grain of my brain anyway, because I think you're not supposed to do that anyway. But I really felt like the Lord was telling me to do it, so I went ahead and did it. And I went through 2 major disappointments, and it's just like, I'm done. What more can I do? I'm like, I'm done, man. And then John, he was almost like, I really don't even know what to say to you right now, man. I feel your pain. Bless your heart. Because he knew in that moment, it's like, I better not say, man, God's got somebody for you, because I'm going to get punched. Just wait. God's got your back. I'm going to get punched. And you know what I mean? All those tick mark things that you normally might say. John was old enough, man, to know, like, yeah, I'm just gonna sit with you here. I feel you, bro, but I'm not gonna say anything that's gonna make it worse. Even though all those things that he probably wanted to say were true, but it's like, I just don't want to say it, and I'm just like, I'm done. I really was. I mean, I was 100% done. I was just like, I did this thing. I pursued what I felt like the Lord wanted me to pursue, and at the end of it, I get no reward at all. It's like, well, I don't know why did I have to go through that? Oh, well, you'll minister to me. Tell me why you made me go through that and what you were trying to do in my life through all of that and blah, blah, blah. And see, that's believing God to get you through the disappointment. Yeah. It's not believing God for the desire of your heart being fulfilled. Yeah. And I'm telling you what, that has been happening all week. Mm-hmm. And I tell you what, that next week, the next Monday, June 16th, me and her are meeting at Panera Bread. Yeah. And I'm just like, that kind of thing has been happening all week. Yeah. All week. It's like, Lord, we give up on this. There's just no need to even be concerned about it, because it's like a hangnail on our heart. It's like, we're just done. And God's like, oh, okay, here you go. And I'm like, what? Oh, okay. And it's like, I don't know. That just seems to be the theme this week, as far as like preparing and strengthening. It's just like, God's like, I decide when you're done. Yeah. You know what I mean? And if I've made a promise and I've said, I need to remind you, I need to physically manifest myself and remind you that I'm not done. What I said is true, and it's going to happen. Yeah. I am going to do exactly what I said I was going to do. And I'm like, okay. And it literally happened to me today, as a matter of fact, because God times can be difficult for me with 3 kids, because the truth of the matter is God has called us as a family. So our kids go through stuff. Mm-hmm. They're dealing with a lot of the same stuff that we're dealing with, but they're just dealing with it in their own way. Yeah. And it has drawn us closer as a family, but it's like, there's still some heart stuff that they have to deal with. And it's like, if you're in a place of weakness and they're in a place of weakness, then it's like, man, you need the Lord. Yeah. To, you need the really Lord and a massive, immeasureless measure of humility. Yeah. Lots of apologies and sorries and humbling yourself. And man, I can't count how many times I was wrong today. And I was just like, I just need to just go back to sleep and press the reset button, because this is just not working today. But it's been that kind of week. Yeah. And God's just like, I'm stepping in. It's like, we can only go so far, but God has to carry you across the great divide, to be cliche. He really does. Yeah. And then it's like, wow, only you could have done that, because I got to the end of myself and I got nothing from my self-effort. Even though you weren't doing self-effort to get there, you were just obeying the Lord. But it's just like, God takes you to this place where you're just like, I'm done. I can do no more. And God's like, yes, welcome to the threshold of the promise. You know what I mean? It's like, I am so there on so many levels. And I'm just like, well, I'm excited to see what you're going to do, because we're ready. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then we get this 153 thing just this week or just yesterday, and so you want to get into that, because it really is like a wow. Yeah. Well, before we go there, blow your mind. I just wanted to talk more about the story, because I feel like God has more to say. But just with, like you're saying, the reminder. So here, Simon Peter, he's out in the boat, and Jesus is reminding him who he is. He's like, hey, this is who I am. He's preparing their hearts, really, and strengthening them again, of like, hey, I am Jesus. I am Lord of your life. I am your everything. And then I love it because they come ashore and Jesus has provision for them.
And there's something so significant about the provision that the Lord, He already has that.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, it's like, so, there's this, like the preparing and strengthening. I think the preparing part of that story really is that He was reminding all the disciples of who He is. The strengthening is that I think they come on shore when they count how many fish they have, but then the fact that Jesus already had the provision, He already had fish cooking and loaves of bread for them. Mm-hmm. He's like, here I am, let me strengthen you. And then He does give direction. And He, specifically with Peter, there is a healing in Himself. Jesus again was revealing Himself to His disciples, but there was that healing, I believe, in the revealing to Peter specifically of He's asking him, Peter, do you love me? And he's like, yes, Lord, I love you. Peter, do you love me? And he's like, yes, Lord, I love you. And Peter, do you love me? And he's like, Lord, you know all these things. But in all of that, He's also giving him direction. He's like, feed my sheep. He's giving Peter the direction that he's going to need for where he's going to go. And even that really is a preparation, because it wasn't like, okay, go do that right now. It's like, hey, I am awakening your heart to what I've truly called you, who I've truly called you to be. And I feel like even for us personally, like there's just, in me especially, there's just been this like awakening in my heart, even tonight, honestly, where God's just like, we were listening to a worship song, and I was just hit to the point where I really almost wanted to cry, because, as we were listening, I was just like, my heart was just like, Lord, I want my heart to be awakened again to the passion and love that I had for worshiping you. And because I feel like that's been something that was stolen from me many, many, many years ago. And it was just like, so tonight in prayer, it was just this like, Lord, bring that back out, restore that to me. Mm-hmm. And it was just kind of like, where did that come from? It was just like, whoa, that's so surprising. And so I just feel like, that's really what the Lord's been doing. I mean, I love what you said this week. It's like God really has been reminding us of, this is who I am over your life. And so in that also comes the number 153, because it really, I feel like it signifies just abundance. A lot. Yeah. It's, they had large fish. Mm-hmm. It was an abundance of fish. Their nets did not break, but it would have been something that it's like you would have probably.
You think that they would?
How are these nets holding this fish?
That in and of itself is a miracle.
Yeah.
It's again, a miracle within a miracle.
It truly is just a miraculous thing. Like, they had been fishing all night, and to just literally, they toss their nets over, and it becomes so filled with fish that it's like, how in the world did that happen? Well, that is truly a miracle of God, and it just reminded me, God can change things like that.
Yep.
I mean, in an instant, your life can be completely different.
Now, can I?
Yeah.
And that also came because they got a direction from the Lord. Mm-hmm. They didn't just, I don't know, they were ready to give up. You see what's happening there?
Yeah.
They were ready to give up.
I mean, they were literally at the end. I mean, they're coming back to shore.
Yeah, they're ready to go back, and they're like, we got nothing. We did everything we could do. And then the Lord comes with a word, gives them a direction, and boom. Yeah. Because that was their livelihood. That was like, this is how we make money. Mm-hmm. I mean, those fish represented provision for them.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, and so.
Because that ties into the Psalm 10:17.
Yes.
Prepare, strengthen, and direct.
Yes, exactly. And so. And so as we just kind of got more into the 153, and it's just it's really linked to the number 17. There's actually 9. 153 divided by 17 is 9. 17 is the number of victory, and 9 can be fruitfulness. And so it's really like, we really felt like God was saying to us, like, it's about the completion, having the complete victory, and there would just be fruitfulness. You will see the fruitfulness, and that will be the victory that you will have. And
complete, like body,
yes.
soul, spirit.
Yes.
Just awesome, and how God's just doing that with the threes. He's just speaking threes, like 3 occurrences. It was the 3rd time that they had seen Jesus, and
yes,
and that what was it? That perfect 153.
Yeah, like
150.
If you were to make dots, so like if you had the number 3. You put 1 dot and then a dot.
I'll
and
just
a dot.
put it up here.
Makes there you go.
There it is, right
Woo.
there.
I don't
How
have to
about
explain it. But there's exactly, it's equal on every side, so it's
17.
And there's 17
numbers
on each side.
Yeah.
And so we were just saying, like, basically it's like 153 is a sign of the victory.
Yeah.
It's a manifestation of John 10:10, which is about, Jesus said, I have come basically to give life, like, so that you can enjoy life and have it abundantly.
And that's why you got the fish.
Yeah.
Hey, listen to my word, obey my instruction and my direction, and you're going to reap a great reward.
You're going to have abundance. So, how to get the baby. Hopefully he will go back to sleep and stay asleep.
Please sleep.
But, yeah, so, it's like there's just an abundance in life, and so it's like, wow, like that is what God is talking about. He's talking about like a complete victory in our lives. And then I just thought this was just kind of crazy. So last week, it was on March 7th, and we made a video about it that you made like a short little video about the Marvel. Yeah. And so I just thought it was interesting because it was on March 7th that we got Marvel 3 times. And it was on the hat. You went and saw Captain Marvel. And then Lana Vosser came out with a word that had the Marvel in it.
Yeah.
And so here you have, it was on March 7th. So that's a 7. We saw Marvel 3 times, and then we, this morning, when you were just looking at, like, movie stuff, to see how much it made in its opening weekend, it made 150... Captain Marvel made $153 million. It's like 153 something with some change, of course, but it's basically $153 million. And I was like, what? There's 153. It's 153. and so, and I thought it was just crazy because there were 7 disciples, and it was the 3rd appearance with Jesus, and they received 153 fish. So I was just like, wow, God, you're just so awesome. But I feel like he's
so dynamic and just, wow, that's amazing.
And it's like, it's
the precision is crazy. Now, some people might say, oh, you're kind of reaching there. Yeah, you're right. I'm reaching for the hem of his miraculous garment. And he's providing like, hey, let me show you this. Let me see how precise I am. And you're worried about the time frame. And it's like, I got the time frame, bro. Yeah. And let me show you. It's just like, wow. When you really begin to peel back the layers, you will just see more and more of the glory of God.
Yeah.
See, it's the enemy that has come in and churchified everything and has taken stuff like this and made it bad when it's actually good. But the funny thing is, he will then take that and take it into the world and make it bad. Like seeing numbers and searching for searching for meaning and weird things that you might consider weird. you know, and it's just like, man, God speaks through this stuff.
Yeah.
And he proves himself, and he shows like signs, and it's just like, wow, that's amazing. Like, you really are getting ready to marvel us.
Yeah.
That's what I think. You know?
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say too. It's just like, God's like, hey, I marvel. That's what I'm saying. You will marvel at the abundance of God and just what he is speaking and what he's going to do in our lives. I really think that we're going to be in awe of him in just a whole new and completely different way. Where as he shows his Father's heart to us, we're just going to be, wow, marveling and in awe of everything that he's doing.
Yeah.
And so I think that's it. I think that's really all that we have.
Yeah.
And just to pray that this really is an encouragement to you guys.
I could talk about that Marvel thing for about 10 more minutes.
Yeah.
Just expounding on all the different ways that makes it awesome.
Yeah.
But I won't do that.
But yeah, so it's just, you know, I think if anything, it's like God really is saying, like, he's preparing and strengthening and directing us each and every day, and we just need to continue to allow him to work, allow him to move, and he just has so much in store for us.
I mean, when they caught those fish, they were marveling.
Yeah.
They were like, whoa. And then Peter was like, it's the Lord. Or John.
Yeah, John.
He was John. He was like, it's the Lord. And Peter was like, I am going after the Lord. Forget the fish. I'm going after the Lord. I mean, it's just like, I just feel like that's what God's saying, you know. There is a marvelous thing that he's getting ready to do. And it's like, I don't care how many times he has to say it. You know, I don't care how many times he has to knead it in and prepare and strengthen the heart. There's going to come a moment of direction, and that direction is going to lead to catching the 153 large fish.
Yeah.
You know, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah. So,
there, I went on for like a minute instead of 10 minutes. There.
So we just hope that you guys are blessed and encouraged. And
again, if you want to give to us, we got a PayPal link below. We would super appreciate it, especially with this new week coming up. You know, we don't know how long we're going to be in this position. I mean, like we're talking about right now, what the Lord's been sharing with us right now, things could flip just like that. Tell you what, we need 153 fish right now. That would be so amazing. You know what I'm saying? That would just be great. You know, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like, as long as we're in this position, generally when the turn of the week comes, that's when we're just like, okay, Lord, put it on some people's heart to help us out, and you know what I mean? And a lot of times we're always praying about it, but sometimes we have to throw it out there as well. Yeah. You know? So yeah, PayPal links below if you guys want to give to us. We really appreciate it. And we just pray that you guys will be super mega blessed.
Yeah. And
prepare your hearts for what's coming.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So until next time, guys, we will see you later.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.